How's it going, guys, and welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this game, we're going to have a showdown between Dob Plays, who's going to be playing the Lizardmen, and Rising Chaos, who's going to be playing the Greenskins. So guys, let's jump right into this live game and have some fun. So over here in the front line, you can see these chameleon skinks are getting nice and dirty all over these Morgrim's Mangy Marauders, so definitely a very rough initial engagement right here. Looks like these, the Tief Robbers, oh yes, the Tief Robbers, the glorious unit right here, has been doing some skirmishing. I think I started recording a little bit late, but regardless, they do have 5 kills, and oh no, they just got picked off by those chameleon skinks. So right now, the dinos do indeed have the high ground. I think the Greenskins are coming up and over the hill. It looks like the Greenskins actually do have a fair amount of these new trolls. So you guys can see the trolls do have more entities per unit, which is definitely pretty cool, and I think they did get a little bit of a buff to their leadership as well. So, for Dob Plays' army, it looks like he does have a front line of the Skink Cohort Javelins, which I really like. They actually do really well against lightly armored targets. They'll pepper down Savage Orcs, be pretty good against Biggins, the Orc Biggins, but they won't do terribly well against Black Orcs, but I still really like this pick. They only cost 100 more, and they pretty much have the exact same stats as the regular Skink Cohorts, so I think they're a pretty good pick for sure. In the secondary line, he has a bunch of Saurus Warriors with shields. He does have a Bastillodon with Revivification Crystal. He has a Skink Chief right here, and I don't think it's the caster. No, it's actually just the Chief. And this is definitely going to be pretty hard for the Greenskins to take down. What he really needs to do is get the Morgrim's Mangy Marauders, the Rusty Heirs, and his other goblins and really focus them down. I also really like this pick from Rising Chaos. I think the Orc War Boss is pretty good. The Wyvern mounts are just solid. They have 110 speed, really good armor-piercing attacks, and apply poison. Granted, I think the absolute best choice in this matchup is to bring Azak. You can get really good Spirit Leeches on these big dinos and kind of, take them down. Oh, it looks like a Howling or a Tempest from the High Magic. So he actually did bring the Orange Sherbet Salon right here. So he does have High Magic, and you can see that Tempest is going to be trapping him down and actually doing some pretty substantial damage. On that same note, the Chameleon Skinks are going to be shooting him down, so he's down to about, 70% HP. And it looks like he actually did respond by using the Night Shroud. So very, very cool play right there. So Night Shroud now actually gives stock and makes it so the unit can only really be spotted at a very close distance. So here's a little guy, the hero of the Greenskins, casting that Night Stalk, and I think he also does have Night Shroud, which gives a nearby unit or an ally stock as well. And I think, was that the one that I actually just used? Yeah, it was. Definitely some cool stuff. So right now the Greenskins are advancing, and they're going to be taking so much fire. You can see down here that these Biggins are just getting peppered and destroyed by the spears. Looks like there's also some magic coming down. I'm not sure what spell this is. Looks like it's actually a banishment. So definitely some scary stuff so far. So the Salon Priest, much like the original Jabba the Hutt, does indeed have banishment bound. He just does not have ruination of cities. So the trolls are going to be slamming into these skinks, doing some pretty substantial damage on their initial charge, but they probably will get dragged down by the Saurus Warriors, who hit incredibly hard against lightly armored targets. So in the back, it looks like he does have additional skinks in reserves. And it looks like there's some funny business over here. So a bunch of these Night Goblin Squig Hoppers have surrounded this Bastillodon, and the Squig Hoppers also do have AP values now. Granted, they're not meant versus large, but you can see they were able to put a little bit of a dent in that Solar Engine, which, wasn't terrible. He does also get a bit of rear charge into these chameleons right here, so definitely some good stuff. And you can see the Orange Sherbet Salon, or whatever we want to call them, just some ice cream flavor. It's just getting teed off on by all of these Goblin Archers, and I think he has the Rusty Heirs back here as well. He must, yeah, right there. So he's taking a bit of damage, although I'm pretty sure in Mortal Empires, guys, the Salons actually did get a buff to their missile resist. So it's actually 40 now. I think it used to be 25 or 20. So definitely a very nice buff that, saved quite a bit of damage on that Salon right there. So the front line seems to be pretty even. You can see that the Greenskins, for the most part, in the center are holding. Over here, it's going pretty well for them. The Orc Biggins do have that sneaky stabbing, but on this side, it looks like the Greenskin pocket is just collapsing. The trolls are scurrying away pretty quickly here, and it looks like some of these Goblin Archers are coming to fill their spot, which is definitely not a good time. So the Skink's getting in there with some nice karate moves. And man, what a close battle so far. Very well played to both players. So right here, you can see a very nice Apotheosis coming down, and Apotheosis is so good because it not only heals, but it also imbues fear, which is going to be pretty good against the low leadership factions of the Greenskins. So on the far side, you can see these skinks are going to be rallying, pushing into the Biggins, but the Biggins actually doing pretty well. Like, I really thought they would buckle under the pressure of the Saurus Warriors, but they seem to be holding their own. Plus, they do have a little bit of an anti-large bonus, but I'm still not a huge fan of them in this matchup. I think the way that the Greenskins really take it to the Lizards in the infantry fight is just Black Orcs. Black Orcs now have 50 weapon strength with like 110 armor. They're just absolute linebackers. And they're immune to psychology, so they're not going to have issues with the Bastillodons. So over here, another Tempest coming down, so very, very well played by Dob Plays, getting that Tempo. I guess it's just called Tempest. I thought it had some big flashy name, but very well played. Locks him down and actually does damage as well. So that's the difference between the Tempest and the Howling Warp Gale, is that the Tempest actually does damage, whereas the Howling Warp Gale does not. It just holds them in place. And man, look at the damage on this guy. He's just getting drained. So that must have been an overcasted version. And for the first time in the battle, you guys can see the balance of power is starting to shift in the favor of the dinos. In the front line, the trolls are getting a little bit crazy, and do trolls cause... No, they don't cause terror, they just cause fear. So they're still doing a pretty good job, and I'm surprised they're still fighting. Like, normally trolls route off, so maybe the fact that they have more entities or they got some other buffs in Mortal Empires is the reason they're fighting. But these little skinks back here, these chameleon skinks with the poison, is just going to pepper them down. They only have 40 armor, and they don't have any form of missile resist, so it's definitely going to be a little bit ugly. Oh man, I was wondering why like my screen got all blurry. I was like, oh, what happened to the graphics? Is my graphics card just failing? A really nice banishment going down right here, which is roast the rusty airs. Man, they just got massacred by that. And you guys see that banishment back there kind of roasting those guys, and the troll starting to rout. It's kind of triggering a bit of a mass rout. And you know, I wonder if it would be a pretty good mechanic on the trolls to just put the what's it called, the expendable. I mean, they're not an expendable unit, but they just route so easily. It would be nice if like your other units didn't take a penalty from them routing. So right now you can see the trolls are retreating back, and this Bastillodon right here is just kind of ramrodding the last of these biggins, just getting down and dirty in here, having a good old time. And it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. So very well played to both players, Dob Plays and Rising Chaos. That was an incredibly fun match. We got to see some cool tactics. The Tief Robber's getting in there and racking up 6 kills. But you know, the Orange Sherbet Salon isn't bad. He does have this item. I forget what it's called. It's like the it's something or other. But anyways, it's like a mini Fade unit, and it's an item that he has that Jabba the Hutt does not have. So it actually has 4 charges, and it does pretty decent damage against groups like Biggins and Black Orcs and things like that. So I wonder if Dob Plays was using that throughout the battle. I'm sure he was. On top of that, we do also have a Skink Chief here, which I always like that. And whenever you play the Lizardmen, guys, you pretty much always have to bring other heroes. You want to bring a Slann Priest, or, Krokar is probably the most competitive pick in a traditional sense, but bring a couple of heroes, and even bring 2, because that gives you 2 or 3 charges of Cold Blood, which is incredibly strong and really gives you good durability on your hero. But again, with the Slann Mage Priest, who does have Apotheosis, which can heal, you don't really need to kind of bring a 3rd hero, because, he can target himself with that now after Mortal Empire. So Saurus Warriors in the front did pretty well. The little Skink Javelins gave him some great utility. And those Javelins also do poison, which is very neat. We do have these guys down here, the Chameleon Skinks, which I think are just one of the MVPs. They're such a good unit. Having that Aquatics. Yeah, Aquatics is by far the best ability in the game, but having the, the Chameleon ability, which gives them a 40% resistance against missiles, is so huge. It's insane. On top of that, for the Greenskins, the Orc Biggins here did pretty well. 69, 59 kills here. 85, I'm pretty impressed with how well they did. But really, guys, give it a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I really think that Black Orcs are the way to go in this matchup. They are more expensive, and but they don't terror out, number 1. Although I think, do Orc Biggins have Frenzy? I don't think they do, so they do terror out. But Black Orcs can really just kind of beat the brakes off Saurus Warriors because they have so much more armor than, the Saurus Warriors have, armor piercing values for. So I really like Black Orcs in that matchup, and mixing in a few Orc Biggins is fine, but I definitely think you need that heavy armor in your front line, and also the immunity to psychology. The Trolls were a bit of a risky pick for sure, but they actually performed okay. I mean, 29, 18, 25. Had that gold been spent on, maybe like the Broken Tusk Mob and some other more traditional units, I think they would have done a little bit better. But I actually really liked Rising Chaos using the stock ability to kind of save his lord. So initially he did get caught in that Tempest, and he was taking a ton of missile fire from all of these Skinks and the other Javelins. And he did use the stock ability to make him invisible, which was really cool. So yeah, very well played to both Dob Plays as well as Rising Chaos. And guys, Dob Plays actually does have a YouTube channel. Go check him out. There will be a link in the comment section below. And guys, hopefully you enjoyed this match. We'll see you guys next time. Alright guys, now we're back with Game 2 in this Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between Goat Jesus, who's going to be playing Bretonnia, and he's going to be facing off against John Ton, who's going to be playing the High Elves. So guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So the first thing I see over here is a bunch of Royal Hippogriff Knights. So these guys actually got some huge buffs in the Mortal Empire's patch. They did get a weapon strength buff, and they also did get the Blessing of the Lady. So if you look down here, they do have a 20% physical ward save. Definitely some good stuff. So aside from that, the Bretonnian player, Goat Jesus, does have a front line of these Foot Squires, which honestly are one of the safer picks here. They can probably beat Spearmen pretty handily, can trade relatively evenly with White Lions, though I think they will lose. So you can see that the Infantry Corps of Bretonnia is pretty thin, so he's going to need to get some massive value out of these Royal Hippogriff Knights. Aside from that, for his Lord, he does have the Fey Enchantress back here, who has been nerfed into the ground. Granted, still a pretty decent pick. She has Lore of Life. The Mist of the Lady is okay if you can kind of get her up, kind of up in the business of the High Elves, but it is a little bit risky. Granted, they did not bring Teclis, so he doesn't have to, or Tyrion, so he doesn't have to worry about getting hunted by Tyrion. And look who's coming from the distance, the savior of Bretonnia. The Green Knight is riding over here, and let's see if the High Elves have any magic damage. Yeah, I think they probably do. Let's see. Why are these Spearmen? Oh, for a moment I thought these Spearmen had magic damage, but let's see. Does he have anything? I don't think he actually does have any good magic damage, so this should be pretty interesting. So down here, you guys can see these Foot Squires are getting teed off on by the Lothran Sea Guard. And though Foot Squires do have a little bit of armor, and even though they are carrying shields on their back, they're not actually shielded. So they're going to be taking a substantial amount of damage here. And man, you can see they're just getting wasted right now. That is just sheer brutality. So it looks like there's going to be a regrowth going down, so very well played by Goat Jesus. And in the front line, we do have an engagement between the White Lines and the Foot Squires. So it's definitely really be a pretty interesting matchup. The Foot Squires do have a true bonus versus infantry, but their base combat stats are much lower. You can see these guys have 38 and 36, whereas these Foot Squires have 27 and 25 right now, and they're up to silver chevrons. So they're definitely a bit of an inferior unit overall. In the back, you can see these peasant bowmen are just being massacred by the Lothern Sea Guard. And are these the shielded Lothern Sea Guard? They're not. Well, these ones are actually, and I think the ones in the back are not. So these guys do have silver shields, so they're just going to vastly outtrade those peasants. In the back, you can see that Goat Jesus does have an artillery piece that has gotten 15 kills, but oh man, is this a net? Oh, that's so rough right there. So these very expensive Royal Hippogriff Knights right now are just going to be absolutely massacred by those nets of Amnitok. And Teclis over here is just kind of sitting and cackling. And let's see what he brought. No, it looks like there was a nice little Comet of Cassandra over there, but I don't think it hit anything. Right now he does have the Enfeebling Foe. He does also have Chain Lightning, Nets of Amnitok, and I think that's pretty much it. So look how much more durable the Royal Hippogriff Knights are. So they used to have 60 armor and had no physical ward save. So just imagine if these were the Royal Hippogriff Knights before the Mortal Empires patch, like they would be dead right now. They would just straight up be gone. But they're back online, so you can see that Goat Jesus is going to be sending him in, and there's not really too many good targets. It looks like he's going to be landing on some of these Spearmen, as well as these Swordmasters of Hoeth to just feel the earth rumble, and even taking all of this missile fire, they're still probably going to be able to rack up a couple of kills. But man, definitely a very rough start for these Royal Hippogriff Knights, just getting netted and arrowed down. So the Bretonnian front line has pretty much collapsed. You can see in the back the Fey Enchantress is still in pretty good shape. She probably does have a couple of heals that would be very helpful for these Royal Hippogriff Knights because they have a lot of HP per model. So you guys can see they actually haven't lost a single model yet. So if he's able to get like a regrowth or two off, that could be really good. What I would like to also see from Goat Jesus, if he grabbed these guys and go after these Swordmasters of Hoeth. They're isolated, they're alone, and that's a pretty good opportunity, and it's also out of the way of a lot of these missiles. But in the back, the true patriot of Bretonnia, you can see the Green Knight is just trolling these Spearmen. He definitely wants to get the Green Knight and just hunt Teclis. I think that would be the best choice. Green Knight is very quick. He has 84 speed. I think Teclis has 78, so he should be able to catch him. And he's a very good assassin. 430 weapon strength, and he also does magic damage. Not that it really matters against Teclis. So you can see all of these arrows coming in right now, just going ham on the Fey Enchantress. She's definitely not having a good time. And does she have any missile resist? Let's see. So she does have 15 and a 20% physical ward save. So she is somewhat durable, but with 15 armor, that's just too much damage coming through. In the back, you can see these filthy peasant bowmen are trying their best to kind of it almost looks like they're shooting the Fey Enchantress. Like, what are these guys shooting at? Oh, they're shooting over here in the front, like at some of these, I think some of the models of the Swordmasters, or the White Lions, kind of like wandered over here, so they were like, it looked like they were shooting at the Fey Enchantress. So again, the Royal Hippogriff Knights have gotten netted up in the air. Definitely really rough. So very well played by John Tan, just staying on top of it. And that is definitely the most optimal target for the nets. You guys can see the bounce of power starting to shift a little bit. Man, that Fey Enchantress is just getting dumpstered by arrows. In the back, the Bretonnian artillery has racked up 45 kills. Probably wants to be shooting at the Swordmasters, or even the Lothern Sea Guard aren't terrible. So here comes the last stand of Bretonnia. You can see these Royal Hippogriff Knights down here are going to be clawing tooth and nail against these Spearmen. And also looks like there's some what are those guys called? Swordmasters of Hoeth down here. So those are pretty good targets. But yeah, a lot of spears and just arrow fire coming in, and just doing a ton of damage on these guys. But really a testament to how much tankier they are. I mean, I think they're just about to lose their first. Yeah, they haven't even lost a model yet. Are they still at 6 of 6? They just now, when they got to 1,000 HP, lost their first model. So despite taking so much damage, they were still relatively combat effective. And I'm not saying in this game they're actually an effective unit, but the fact that they're able to keep that many models for that long, definitely really good, and really kind of synergizes pretty well with healing abilities. So right now, the Green Knight is the lone patriot of the Bretonnia. He's kind of riding around. He's probably going to get into some of these Spearmen. Look at him just prancing around, trying his best to get on the Fey Enchantress. You can see the Goat Jesus right here is rapidly clicking in a circle trying to get to the Fey Enchantress probably, which is so great. So over here, the Royal Hippogriff Knights have routed. It looks like that's pretty much going to be all she wrote from Bretonnia. But as is usually the case with Green Knight games, he's the last one standing. Looks like he's going to go help this Grail Reliquae, which actually is still in the battlefield, surprisingly. So they're going to do some okay work against the White Lions. And I wonder what the AP values on the Green Knight are. Let's go ahead and check. So 430 and 140, yeah, so it's relatively low, very similar to your, Sigval type lords and things like that. So he's putting up a bit of a fight here versus these troops, and they're not immune to psychology. So guys, maybe we could see a comeback, a mass terror out, but I doubt it. Looks like some pictures are being drawn on the map by the participants right now. Over on the far side, the Blessed Field Trebuchet is about to be ramshackled by these White Lines, and yeah, these peasants are definitely not in for a good time. But despite being, having their heads hacked off, just being delimbed right here, they're still firing into the main line. So you got to give them some mad props for that. So. All right, so let's look at the Green Knight. So does he have any heals? It looks like Enfeebling Foe has been dropped. He's surrounded, and it's only a matter of time before he goes down. So very well played to John Tan as well as Goat Jesus. It was definitely a fun time. But man, those nets of Amnitok were pretty powerful. The Hippogriff Knights, I probably wouldn't bring them in this matchup because the High Elves just have, In one sense, they're pretty good because they can massacre white lines and they can do really well against Swordmasters of Hoeth, but I think bringing the Green Knight and those guys is too expensive because both those units cost around 2,000. And from there, the rest of your army, you saw he only had like 4 foot squires and 2 peasant hordes or 2 peasant bowmen, so the rest of his army was very thin and wasn't able to handle the density of the High Elf army. So, and the Green Knight down to 215 HP, and man, this is like bringing me flashbacks. Just remember the days when like people used to bring the Green Knight against Greenskins who had no magic damage, and it would just be like a mass terror rout, like everything fleeing. The bounce power would be like 70% in the favor of the Greenskins, and all of a sudden just this terror rout, just annihilating all the Greenskins. But probably not going to be the case for the High Elves, who do have quite a bit better leadership. So Teclis just kind of roaming around. I'm surprised he doesn't do magic. I mean, he's kind of like one of the quintessential wizards in Warhammer, right? I feel like he would do magic damage. So well played to John Ton and John Ton and Goat Jesus. Definitely a fun match. I really like the build from John Ton. I feel like against Bretonnia it's pretty solid. You have some really good armor-piercing units, and I wonder what this build would have done against Bretonnia and Cav. I don't think it would be as much of an issue like Grail Knights or Knights of the Realm. Like, he would have been able to net them. In worst case scenario, like, he has so many spears, and the Lothar Sea Guard with their charge bonus and anti-large would probably be able to hold off those guys. So I feel like that might be a pretty hard matchup for Bretonnia, but really I think the way to win is just to go wider. Cut the Green Knight, cut this Royal Hippogriff Knight. That's like 4,000 extra gold. You can get a couple more groups of Foot Squires. I don't know, the Peasant Bowmen might be worth it. It's hard to really gauge their effectiveness in this game from this anecdotal experience because they were just so outgunned. I mean, there was 4 other archers over there, plus Teclis supporting, so it was hard to say. But I think more Foot Squires would be very helpful. These might be like a bit of a niche pick. Like, they have enough armor in that physical resist. You saw they took a few very heavy volleys from those Lothar Sea Guard, and they were still pretty durable. So maybe if you use them a little bit more conservatively, like keep them in the back, try and flank your opponent with a bunch of fodder units. You bring men-at-arms, just swarm their back line, just muck them up. I think that would have been the way to go. But regardless, very well played to Goat Jesus and John Ton. So guys, now we're going to jump into Game 3 in this Community Cast series. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in Game 3. Alright guys, welcome to Game 3 in this live Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between Palooka, who's going to be playing the Dwarves, and it looks like he does have the mighty Belegar Ironhammer. So Belegar actually got some really big buffs in Mortal Empires. When the game starts, if he does have the Hammer of Angren, which he does, you guys will see his weapon strength actually shoot up over 500. Definitely some good stuff. And he's going to be facing off against the Lizard people, who are going to be piloted by Pharaoh of War. So definitely go check out Pharaoh's channel. Very competitive multiplayer player, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this game. So for the Dwarves, it looks like in the front line they do have a combination of Dwarf Warriors. In the middle, he does have the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. So honestly, Dwarf Warriors will do okay against Saurus Warriors because they do have, relatively high armor. They have 85 armor, and Saurus Warriors, proportionately speaking, I think their weapon strength is, let's go ahead and look, 52. But again, a relatively low amount of that is armor piercing, so the Dwarf Warriors should be somewhat durable. On the flanks, it looks like he does have the Norgrimling's Iron Breakers. So these guys are definitely going to be really, really good against the Saurus Warriors. However, if Jabba the Hutt over here is able to kind of ramshackle these guys with his Stegodon, it can be really rough. So aside from that, you can see a couple groups of the Horned ones coming over on the flanks, and these guys are very powerful. However, they do rampage. That's one of the big issues. Like, if they're able to get caught up by a group of Slayers and, kind of, excuse me, one sec, and they get, like, mucked down, it can be really bad. They can just kind of suicide themselves into the Slayers. On the flanks, you can see Palooka does indeed have a Runesmith with the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, so he does have that slow. He's definitely going to need to pull these Slayers over right now because there's a very, very vulnerable kind of pocket right here. I would definitely like to see the Dragonback Slayers kind of screening, maybe pull some Miners over here as well to kind of block those guys up. But it looks like Pharaoh's actually going to retreat, so interesting stuff. Over on the far side, you can see there's another group of Feral Cold Ones coming in, so man, there's going to be a ton of pressure on this Dawi flank, and I don't know if he has the resources to defend it. He definitely wants to pull these Miners over here to kind of help out, otherwise he's just going to get compromised really hard back there. In the front, you can see that these Saurus Warriors are taking some artillery fire, but nothing devastating. And personally, I found that, like, the Lizardmen, if you look at their formations, they seem a little bit wider than most factions. I found, like, Goblobbers and things like that to not be the most effective. The Dwarf Warriors are going to be advancing here. You guys can see Belegar does have 534 weapon strength, so definitely a beast. 106 leadership, and I think he's quite a bit better now. I think he might be a viable pick in some matchups. So these Quarrelers are definitely going to meet their end against these Horned ones, and he really needs to get those Slayers out there, man. This is just going to be such a rough flank engagement. Looks like they're going to turn and shoot, but they are just, Doom has come to their world, guys. This is not going to be fun. So the Horned ones are basically designed for the single purpose of just annihilating a group of Quarrelers like this. Looks like these Miners with blasting charges are going to be getting into the front. King Belegar is going to be rushing against Lord Jabba the Hutt, and that should be a good one. Also, the Thane probably has the Tormentor's Swords. That would be really good. Get it over here, get the Slayers to kind of block it down, but it looks like he had to kind of choose one of his sides he wanted to defend here. And it looks like a net of Amnitok is going to be coming down on the Dragonback Slayer, so very well played. Thankfully, though, the miners here did take that charge like champs, and they should be able to kind of put up a decent fight against these Feral Cold ones. Granted, they're both pretty low tier units. So, in the front, you can see that Belgar Iron Hammer doing his thing over here, kind of supporting his Dawi brethren. He has popped the Mighty Oath Stone, which does give charge defense, which definitely helpful against the big dinos. But man, these Croxagors are just getting crazy in here, and I love how slowly they like swing their weapons. It's pretty ridiculous. All right, so in the back you can see that this Bastillodon with the Revivification Crystals just kind of hanging out, Netflix and chilling. Some blasting charges coming in on the Feral Bastillodon, but man, that pack line is so heavily compromised. I don't think the Slayers have really gotten a chance to move. I mean, the net probably just wore off, and you could see these poor Dwarves back here just being tossed by these Horned ones. So man, that is a really rough kind of initiation right there. You can see a ruination of cities going down, as well as the Shield of the Old Ones, which does give 8 leadership. So at the very least, it does give leadership. The Dwarven Slayers over here are going to be able to deal with these guys pretty easily, and it looks like they do indeed break those guys. So definitely some very good stuff, and they need to catch these guys right now. They need to get those Horned ones. He needs to pull that Thane over there and get that guy and use the Tormentor Sword or the Rune of Wrath and Ruin to slow them down, because these guys are just running shop on the Dwarves right now. You can see they're running in, getting some really, really effective cycle charging, and there goes the Rune of Wrath and Ruin from Palooka. So definitely well played. And is that the Master? Oh, I thought it was the Master Rune. I was like, how did he do that? What sort of hacks is this? So the Slayers are definitely in hot pursuit, waddling somewhere. I'm not sure where they went, actually. Did they go to another part of the battlefield? Looks like he has also gotten some of these guys back online. And it looks like the Slayers went to go intercept these Feral Cold ones that were coming back in. So, on that same note, it did save the Quarrelers, but I think it would have been a little bit of a better investment to go over here and maybe chase down those Horned ones. So the Miners are going to have to deal with these guys now, which is so rough. And man, these guys look so cool. But there might be a chance that the Dwarfs could get them to Rampage, and from there he might be okay. It's hard to say though. His front line is very thin. Belgar takes forever to kill. 120 armor, 55 melee defense, and he also has several items that make him very tough to kill. Oh no, and Lord Jabba the Hutt's coming in just all angry, looking for his Carl's Jr., having a good old time. So Jabba has really good armor piercing values, but still Belgar should endure for a little bit of time. In the back of the Quarrelers here have 49 models. They've only racked up 3 kills, which is rough. But the Dwarves do have a very good pocket of strength over here. So you can see the Dragonback Slayers are going to be cleaving some of these skink cohorts, but he really needs to get these guys kind of collapsing inward to rescue his lord. But this could actually be a bit of a hidden boon for him. If Belgar can stand and tank all these very expensive units, the rest of the Dwarf army might be able to kind of rally and potentially clean up the flanks a little bit. So these Saurus Warriors are actually shaken right now. They do get the Revivification Crystal cast on them, and now they're out of control. So the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers still rocking 119 leadership. Man, such an awesome unit. Over here you can see that these Saurus Warriors are engaging on some of these Quarrelers, so they should be able to clean them up, but it looks like they're still shooting while they're in melee, so they must be in guard mode. And yeah, these guys are definitely going to clean up shop. Balance of power is still relatively even, probably slightly favoring the Lizardmen, despite them getting some really good flank charges. And you can see that entire time that we were looking at other parts of the battlefield, Belgar Ironhammer, the Mighty Oathstone, the Rune of Oath and Steel, just tanking all these dinosaurs. He's just been getting run over by Jabba, who's just fiending for some Mountain Dew, and he's still just doing a great job, just kind of sitting there tanking it, which is incredible. So yeah, I actually just finished a game with Belgar where I was playing against the High Elves, and you wouldn't think he's the best pick there, but man, he was really tough to kill. Like, the Star Dragons were just taking forever to bring him down. There's also a Runesmith in here who's doing pretty well against these rampaging dinosaurs. And the Croxagors, a pretty good pick here. Granted, they're very weak against powder. So had the Dwarves brought Iron Drake Torpedoes, or what are those guys called? I'm totally blanking on top of my head. Iron Drake Torpedoes or Thunders or anything like that, it would have been really tough for those guys to survive. But now you can see it's like a full surround right here. The Dawi do have a bit of a pocket of strength right here. These Thanes are in pretty good shape, and they're actually able to beat back these Saurus Warriors. And look at those blasting charges coming down from the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers, and a very, very good ruination of cities from Pharaoh of War. So Palooka needs to grab these guys right now, run over here, and just kind of, get a bit of a rear charge here, because I bet you Belgar is still in pretty good health. Yeah, despite all that, being full surrounded by all these armor-piercing monsters, he's still tanking it. So, man, what a beast. Also, a very good banishment coming down from Jabba the Hutt. Looks like it did clip these Norgrimling Ironbreakers a little bit, but the Dawi are resilient. They're coming in for one last rear charge. It looks like this Runesmith is broken. He's probably even taking the brunt of the damage. But they still do have a fair amount of troops, but these Norgrimlings Ironbreakers, I don't know if they're going to have enough AP to get through Jabba and all these Bastillodons. So the Slayers coming in with their Mohawks out for Harambe, definitely getting a nice rear charge. And they should be able to put up a decent fight here. Right as I say that, they just get tail whipped, but they should be able to kind of pin down these Croxagors. They definitely need to, because Croxagors will just massacre the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers. So over here you can see some of these Quarrelers have come back from route. They do have 25 models, getting a decent little volley on these guys, but these Saurus Warriors do have shields and 57 models, so they're pretty much out of the picture. So over here there are some rallying troops. It looks like we have the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, 11 models here. We do have 37 models right here of the Miners, and yeah, anything getting back in here could help. And it looks like the Lizardmen right here, are they buckling a little bit? Like, are the Dwarfs kind of carrying this back? It looks like the bounce power is heavily going in the favor of Jabba the Hutt. But despite that, the Dawi putting up a pretty good fight here. You can see the Thane trying his best to work on this Bastillodon, but Thanes don't really have good AP. And this is still 140 armor for like 700 or 800 gold, which is a great deal. You can see some of these Slayers just getting headbutted by these angry dinosaurs. Jabba the Hutt's in pretty good shape, and the Dwarfs might suffer army losses, but Belegar still being a true patriot of the Dawi right here, trying his best just despite being surrounded and just knocked around. It looks like Jabba took some of his buddies out, so definitely a rough circumstance for those guys. So on the far side, 42 skink cohorts here. It looks like there's a very healthy group of Source Warriors, so yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be all she wrote for the Dwarves. They might hold for a little bit of time with Belegar because he's so tanky. And also the Thane here is in relatively good health with about 1500 HP, but there's just too much left on the battlefield. I mean, there's Source Warriors over here, a group of 56. Over here, there's a full group of 69 coming in here. That's what she said. And I think that's going to be all she wrote. So it looks like army losses there. And the last remaining Dragonback Slayers will fight tooth and nail, do their people proud, and fulfill their oath at the end of the day. So, you know, I don't know. It's a pretty rough way to fulfill the oath, just having your like heads torn off by a bunch of raging dinosaurs. Yeah, it is what it is. You just see them like flying up. That's so brutal. Oh man, that's just pure savagery right there. So yeah, 12 Dragonback Slayers left right here, and Jabba the Hutt, you know, reigns victorious. So I do like Jabba in the Dwarf matchup. You do have to watch out for the missile play, but there were some actual buffs to Lord Mazdamani in the Mortal Empires. So just like the Orange Sherbet Slan that you guys saw in Game 1, I think it was, he actually got a little bit of a buff to his missile resist. I think it only applies when he's not on Zlok, though. So I think when he's on Zlok, he has the same as he had before. But if you put him on his toilet seat, I think he actually ends up with like 40 missile resist. So Jabba is just cleaning up the last of the Dragonback Slayers. Looks like there's 2 of them left, and they're probably going to get torn to shreds by these Velociraptors, which is definitely not fun stuff. But yeah, Jabba's good here. And, you know, even though the Dwarves do have that 25% magic resist across their entire faction, they still do take a ton of damage from, like, Ruination of Cities and Banishment. Those abilities are very good. So if you guys are getting into Total War, don't be afraid to use magic against the Dwarves. A really good Purple Sun from Lore of Death, a Fate Abuna will do massive damage against the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers. It's still worth bringing. Don't be dissuaded. I used to make that mistake quite a bit when I first started playing Warhammer. I was like, oh, the Dwarves, I'm not even going to bother bringing a caster. But don't make that mistake. It's still very good against them. So I like the pick over here. Saurus Warriors with shields are very solid. A bunch of Bastillodons and Croxagores. I'm not a huge fan of the Feral Cold ones for some reason. They always seem to underperform. Granted, they are dirt cheap. So there's a little bit of give and take. And they also have like 70 movement speed or something like that. So yeah, I'm on the fence about them. But I think they are a decent armor-piercing unit. I mean, 42 weapon strength. They just have very low combat stats. So their melee attack and melee defense is relatively low. So they have trouble really getting through the very high melee defense of the Dawi. But it's like a backline pressure unit against Quarlers and things like that. They seem to be pretty good. On top of that, the Horned ones. That was actually one of the first times I saw him. But really the big issue for Palooka was that he didn't really have ample resources to protect his flanks. He invested in, you know, he had a very wide front line. He had a couple miners in the back and one group of Dragonback Slayers, but I think it would have been very good if he had, you know, these 4 in the front line with the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers to attach 2 Dwarf Warriors. So you have Dwarf Warriors in the back, you have miners in the back, you have Slayers in the back. Had he been able to protect those Quarlers and that artillery piece, it could have been a very different game. So very well played to Pharaoh of War and Palooka. And guys, Palooka is actually the gentleman who designed the banner for my channel. So if you guys go to my channel right now and look at that new lovely banner, it's glorious. I love it. He did such an amazing job. Very talented illustrator. And there'll also be a link to his Instagram below. And if any of you guys are looking for banners or kind of graphics or logos or anything Warhammer related or pretty much anything, definitely reach out to him. He does an excellent job. Awesome dude. And thanks again, man, for designing the awesome banner. So very well played to Pharaoh of War and Palooka. And guys, we're going to jump into Game 4 in this Community Cast series. All right, guys, welcome to this 4th and final game in this Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between Sniper Cat, who's going to be playing the Vampire Counts, and he's going to be facing off against Shadow Online Gaming, who's going to be playing the Skaven led by Queek. And it looks like the Vampire Counts, I think it was the Red Duke. Yes, it was. Definitely some fun stuff. So for the Vampire Counts army, they do have a front line of Skeleton Warriors and a couple groups of Graveguard. And Graveguard are honestly a pretty safe pick here. They have Silver Shield, so they're going to be relatively durable against Skirmishers and Slinger Fire. And on top of that, they do have pretty good defensive stats and a nice anti-infantry bonus. They do really well against lightly armored targets. So you can see in the front, it looks like Shadow Online Gaming does have a couple groups of these Clan Rats who will get massacred by these Graveguard. However, in the back, it looks like Shadow Online Gaming does have a couple groups of Stormvermin with Halberds who I think are a really good matchup, or a really good pick in this matchup. Because one of the big issues about facing the Vampire Counts is the Skaven is fear and terror routing, so having these really durable anti-large troops that can deal with Cryptors, Varghols, pretty much all of those nasty monstrous units is really good. So in the front, you can see the Clan Rats are going to be colliding with this Mortis Engine, and the Mortis Engine is going to be so good against this Skaven. It's going to cause fear and terror issues and just all kinds of madness. But guys, on the far side of the battlefield, you can see Shadow Online Gaming coming in with a Doom Wheel flank. So the Doom Wheels are going to be engaging against Cryptors, which I actually think are a really good counter against Doom Wheels. You can see they have enough mass to kind of block up the Doom Wheels, and definitely doing a very good job. However, the Doom Wheels do have a bunch of support. You can see there's some Stormvermin with Halberds as well as some Clan Rats who are going to surround these guys, and Cryptors aren't the most tanky of units. They have 15 armor and pretty low melee defense. so they probably will hold these guys down for a minute or two, but after that, they should crumble. Over here, you can see that the Red Duke is on the hunt. It looks like there's some foul magic being cast. It also looks like Sniper Cat does indeed have another Necromancer here. So he has the Forbidden Rod, which is basically like Arcane Conduit, but it also hurts himself. So let's see what he has. Yeah, so that thing's just basically like a mobile battery, which is pretty cool. But the Red Duke, definitely being a very good duelist, probably will do pretty well against Queek because he does have LC. And it looks like, man, he has so many items. He has the Sword of Anti-Heroes, which is one of the new items that gives him AP and weapon damage, putting his strength up to 624 on this zombie dragon. So man, that's just doing some heavy work. Let's see, have the Doom Wheels gotten free yet? No, these Doom Wheels are still blocked up by these Cryptors right here. So man, that's some heavy duty lifting from these guys. But they're down to about half health. They're going to start losing models here now that their HP is dropping. And it looks like some of these Storm Vermin should be able to kind of set those guys free in just a moment. So over here you can see that the, what is this guy? The Warlock Engineer. So I wonder if he brought the Mortis Engine effect. No, it doesn't look like he did. He has Skitter Leap, which are the Death Frenzy, which gives weapon strength, I think, and a few other stats. And he does have Warp Lightning, so it looks like there's going to be a Warp Lightning coming down somewhere on the battlefield. Looks like over here, perhaps on the back of the vampires, not sure. And what was that shot? Was that a Doom Wheel? I think it was. The Doom Wheel has something that looks like a Warp Lightning cannon. So I actually missed these guys from Sniper Cat, but it looks like Sniper Cat does have a group of Blood Knights who are coming in, and the Mighty Black Coach just wreaking havoc, and this thing has 70 kills. And as much of a meme as the Black Coach is, I actually think it's a pretty good pick in this matchup because it causes fear and terror. It's mobile, it's really good at kind of pushing through Skaven infantry and just doing some work. So the Red Duke atop his Mighty Zombie Dragon is kind of holding it down to the pits. You can see the Skaven are just getting tail whipped and just run over by this foul beast. The Mortis Engine is just draining them. The Skaven infantry really just weren't able to hold. I definitely think they could have used a couple groups of Rat Ogres. I'm not sure if he had any kind of in reserve somewhere. I think he might have, and then the Blood Knights were able to take him out. But we'll have to check after the game. So Queek's at about half health. It looks like a nice little Warp Lightning going down right there. It's just going to give me a seizure. Man, that was intense, just hitting everything. But getting a really nice blast in the middle of all those Graveguard. And you can see the Doom Wheels are trying to ramrod against the Red Duke, but the Red Duke is he's in pretty good shape. And yeah, the Sword of Anti-Heroes gives him some heavy weapon strength for sure. I think that's how he was able to beat down Queek. So right here, you can see that the Warlock Engineer is definitely, he's in the wrong neighborhood, to say the least. The Red Duke's going to hunt him down, and though he does have pretty good AP values for like a caster type unit, he still definitely needs to kind of scurry away here. So, and there's the Rat Ogres. Okay, so the Rat Ogres actually did, I think, rout off fighting the Blood Knights, but they're going to be coming back right now, and this could definitely help the Skaven out quite a bit. So it looks like they're going to be attacking the Red Duke, where one group is going to be pushing over here, but I think it was too little too late. What I probably would have liked to have seen done for this Skaven, for the Rat Ogres, is have them move with the main army. Like, put them with your main troops, put them behind the Storm Vermin, and stack them on top of the Storm Vermin. So the Storm Vermin can fend off the large targets who can kill the Rat Ogres, like Blood Knights and things like that. And then the Rat Ogres can then freely attack and, you know, get those really good armor-piercing values in. Looks like some of these Blood Knights might be dragged down here by some of these Storm Vermin and these Ogres, but I don't know. With that Mortis Engine, who's in pretty good health, and the Doom Wheels are both so low, it looks like this one Doom Wheel is going to be routing off to the Blood Knights. And anytime you're playing Vampire accounts, it's definitely against the Skaven. It's definitely a good idea to bring like a high mass Lord, in my opinion. Another good choice is the Strigoi Ghoul King. He has anti-large, armor piercing, and poison. So he's definitely very good at kind of dealing with the Doom Wheel nastiness. But the Red Duke here in the pits, looks like he's going to terror out Queek. Queek is not immune to psychology. And it looks like that's going to be all she wrote for the Skaven. So very well played to Sniper Cat as well as Shadow Online Gaming. It was quite a battle. But yeah, Shadow Online Gaming actually has a YouTube channel as well. He runs a lot of community tournaments and does some fun stuff. So he'll be in the comments as well. We've got a lot of people from the community in here today. Definitely some fun stuff. So yeah, so for the Clan Rats, I think putting the Rat Ogres with the main army and stacking them on top of the Storm Vermin would have been really good. It's kind of that classical like Chaos versus Vampire counts where you have a bunch of Chaos Halberds and then you stack a Giant on top of them. You get the AP stacked on top of the Anti-Large. You're able to defend against Blood Knights. Would have mitigated their effectiveness. It also would have helped out against the Cycle Charging. The Black Coach would have come in, would have been blocked up by Rat Ogres. I think that would be very solid. But I do like the Storm Vermin pick. I think the Doom Wheels, I mean, despite being like really countered pretty effectively by Sniper Cat, they still got a ton of kills and were pretty effective. So I do like the Doom Wheel. You know, high mass units that have good mobility can definitely run shop on the vampires. Like, if you're not careful with the vampire counts against the Lizardmen, for example, Croc R can just have a field day. He can chase your Mortis Engine, trample through any defenses. He's just such a terror in the night. So I definitely like the direction he was going with that. For Sniper Cat's army, I like the fact that he brought this Necromancer as like a battery. So the Necromancer, you know, a little bit of a heroic unit. He does have like, you know, some decent weapon strength, but he also had that dagger. So he was really allowing the Red Duke to get that perpetual regeneration, which I think was quite helpful for invocations of Nehek and that kind of thing. I like the Graveguard, definitely a solid pick. Skeletons are a decent filler unit. They do cause fear, so it's going to help to rout Clan Rats pretty quickly. Blood Knights I do like as well. You know, Doom Wheels are a thing that are pretty common, and the Blood Knights do pretty efficiently against the Rat Ogres as well as the Doom Wheel, so I do like that pick. Let's see what else. The Black Coach. How can you not like the Black Coach? So let's give mad props to Sniper Cat for bringing the mighty Black Coach and actually doing really well with it. And of course, Mortis Engine is pretty solid. Skaven do have some artillery choices, like a Warp Lightning Cannon would have been very threatening. But the Warp Lightning Cannon did actually get nerfed in Mortal Empires. Its accuracy got lowered, so it's not quite as good as it once was. The Mortis Engine, though, it definitely needs to be taken down. So maybe some like Poison Wing Globadiers, or I don't know. It's a little bit tricky because vampires can summon zombies, so definitely a little bit of give and take there. So very well played to Shadow Online Gaming as well as Sniper Cap. There will be a link to all of the YouTube channels in the comment section below. And guys, let me know if you like this format. So this is actually quite a bit of fun. I just got a bunch of people on the Discord channel and was like, hey, you guys want to do some live games? Let's get in there. Let's play. I'll just cast them as you guys go through and just have people jumping in and playing. It's quite a bit of fun. So let me know if you like this live format. I know the introductions are a little bit shorter, so you don't have to like listen to me ramble as much. So maybe that's good. I don't know. Let me know. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Have an excellent night and take care.